Sometimes people seem to think that because Israel and the Jewish people have a special calling and election and place in the history of God's plans and purpose for the world, that they don't need to be saved. They've got a covenant and it's automatic. But it never was automatic. There was always the requirement of faith. And the law was looking forward to the coming of the Messiah. When Jesus came, he brought salvation. Salvation for Jews and salvation for Gentiles. But there is only one way to be saved, and that's through faith in Jesus Christ. In Romans 1:16, Paul says, "I'm not ashamed of the gospel. It's the power of God to everyone who believes, first the Jew and then the Gentile." So Jews and Gentiles both get saved in exactly the same way, through faith in Jesus. We have to learn to share the gospel with Gentiles and with Jewish people. And the sensitivities of Jewish history and Jewish life mean that it's appropriate for us to take that all into consideration. But the bottom line is, they need Jesus just like we need Jesus. Jesus is the only Son of God. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And no one gets to the Father except through him. So Jews do need Jesus, and their elective purpose that they enjoy and the role and responsibility that they play in the world, even today, doesn't earn them salvation. Paul could say in Philippians, as he reflected on his heritage, that he was a Hebrew of Hebrew, a Pharisee of Pharisees, but all these things he counted but rubbish for the surpassing sake of knowing Jesus Christ, his Lord, because those things were worthless. They couldn't save, they couldn't achieve anything to change his status, to deal with his guilt and his sin and his standing before God. Only the gospel could do that. The gospel is still the only way that anyone can be saved. Peter said this, "There is no other name under heaven by which we must be saved. Just Jesus, only Jesus." He was speaking to Jews. And that remains the same today. It's not a popular message, but it's the truth. And it's the truth that we must share. And Paul's heart's desire, he says in Romans 10, for Israel, is that they should be saved. There's no other way, so he has to preach the gospel. He goes into the synagogues and he goes into the cities. He reaches Jews, he reaches Gentiles. It's always the gospel, only the gospel. Let's make sure that we're praying for Jewish people to come to know Jesus and to be saved.